Let me set my gain up a little bit since I'm not gonna be using Audacity.
I need to think of an intro that I can say, unlike everyone's things.
I would
Like,
suggest imitating a murloc.
Today we're talking about Guild Wars 2.
You know this is being recorded, right? I can save this and use it as blackmail forever.
What is up, guys? I wanted to talk to you guys just before the Let's Talk starts. Basically, this Let's Talk is about what we think could be the potential flaws, if any, of Guild Wars 2. We definitely tried to be negative as possible, but it always ended up being like so positive. But yeah. Also, a big shout out to Guild Wars 2 Insider for letting me use their press beta footage from this recent weekend. I put all these clips into one big video from this hour-long Let's Talk so you guys have something interesting to watch while you listen to us. So make sure you show some mad love to Guild Wars Insider on their YouTube channel. I will leave a annotation for you guys to click on, and they also have some commentary, so go ahead and go check that out. And I guess that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the Let's Talk. What is up, guys? Matt Visual here. I'm here to bring you another Let's Talk, and today we have Philetic.
Hey, what is
And a newcomer, SageLikeOne.
Hi, how you doing?
How you guys doing? Today we're gonna be going in some a crazy topic here: the flaws of Guild Wars 2. No one has really talked about this, really, and I guess we can. If you're worried about what we're gonna say, just plug your ears up or click onto another video.
Yep.
Or we're gonna try to be as negative as possible because we're all here just waiting for this game. So I guess who wants to start?
I suppose we can start by saying that a lot of the stuff we have currently seen from a lot of different, press people and people who've been in the beta, I personally feel that it's coming from a very sort of biased angle, if you like, because everyone's really excited for the game. You finally get to play it for like 2 days, so all of that time you're gonna be really excited and really positive for the game, and you can't really pick out bad bits. So a lot of the videos and stuff we've seen and people saying already it's all very good. It's all, this game is absolutely awesome, which it is.
Right.
But people haven't had the time really to find flaws in it and to find its sort of faults. So everything we sort of say, it's really hard to come up with different types of, I suppose, like negative points to do with Guild Wars 2.
Right. I see that as a problem. Like all the press guys, they're all these videos. They're like, oh my gosh, we've been waiting 7 years to play Guild Wars 2, and
Yeah.
finally they get in, and it's just like, wow, look at this, and all the things they're really looking for in an MMO, like the dynamic events and all that, have been what they've been looking for. Is really good, and I guess when you start to play it for a long period of time, then you start to get to like certain areas of the game and say, maybe the crafting is not so good. Maybe this is not so good, and maybe they can
Yeah.
change this. Because I mean, really, a weekend is not really enough to really get really into the game.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm trying to think of the game now, but Total Biscuit has obviously been doing some of the most popular coverage of the beta, and he was covering another game, and I think it was Kingdoms of Amalur or something. Yes, it was. And for example, he did a quest on there where it's something to do with a boulder, and it was like destroy this boulder, and he destroyed it, but the boulder was still standing there. And he went on about that whole immersion thing for absolutely ages. You know what Total Biscuit's like. He just
Right.
babbled on about it. And then the same thing happened. I was watching a video of, I forget which one. It's a recent one.
That dynamic
And,
events with the thief.
yeah. And it was something to do with cutting down a tree, and the tree stayed there. So I was in my head, I was just expecting him to say, oh, look at this flaw. This is something I need to fix. But he just completely overlooked it. And it's his whole, because he's really passionate for the game and really likes it. So it's going to be harder for him to pick out tiny flaws like this as well. So as well as the big things like crafting, there's also little tiny things that people might miss out as well.
I think that there's a perception filter going on with people missing the big sort of flaws that they're gonna pick out in 3 weeks time, but in the 2 days that they have, they don't have enough time to actually spot these things. So all they can do is, the particle effects look big. It's like, is that the worst thing you can think of with this game? Is that like the core problem? Then I think we're pretty solid, you know? And in 3 weeks, people are gonna go, oh, I didn't notice that this and this stuff is broken, you know, because you can't see that in 2 days. And you're so excited and you want to play, and you just sort of nitpick on stuff. Like, oh, this guy actually says this thing, but he does that thing. Oh, that's so broken. But, you know, beta is beta. But then you don't see the big stuff.
Yeah, like Guild ArenaNet could be sitting there, and then someone, you know, says, "Oh, this is broken. Beta is beta. They'll fix it." And ArenaNet were thinking, "No, that was supposed to do that." You know, like, okay, we'll fix it. We'll fix it. It's all good.
I mean, that's still better than what Star Wars: The Old Republic did with their beta.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to speak ill of the dead here, but I mean, that game, when it did the beta, and you came up with any criticism whatsoever on their beta forums, they just banned you, you know, because you're a troll. Obviously, this is the perfect game. You can't have any counterpoints to this at all. So I said that, you know, this and this and this stuff isn't working, and it's like, bang, you're gone. Okay, thank you very much.
Are you kidding me?
No,
wow,
that's happened first time.
wow. That's
crazy.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, constructive criticism is really good. I mean, that the community is what makes the game.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And I mean, people going blah blah, this is WoW in space, you know, sure, they're trolls. But if you have a point by point list of, you know, this stuff isn't really working, that stuff is bugged, you need to be looking into this thing. That's not the same thing as, oh, you know, he's a troll. But that's what happened. People just automatically went, oh, he's criticizing the game, and therefore he's a troll, and then they threw you out.
Hopefully, Guild Wars. I don't think Guild Wars would make ArenaNet would make the same mistake of releasing a game, because they did say, look, we're gonna release it this year, and they haven't made any release date yet. So they put the pressure on themselves to say they're gonna release it this year.
Yeah.
So, like, what if it's not ready? You know, like, I hope, because you know how Star Wars is. You know, they've been making that game for a long time, and they got pushed to put it out, and they put out an unfinished product.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the game update 1.2 is just now coming up, and all the features that was supposed to be in the game when it was launched is now coming.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, it's interesting how they said, like, for the longest time, they've been saying, you know, we're going to release the game when it's ready. You know, don't worry about release dates. We're going to release it when it's ready. And then people obviously wanted more. Like, you can't just leave us with this. So after that, they said, well, what we're going to do, we're going to do beta events. We're going to do closed events and these sort of weird open beta events, I suppose, invite-only ones. And then depending on how that goes, we'll announce a release date. But they said it's going to be released this year, like quite a while ago. We're only now getting into these open beta events. So it's quite, like you say, Matt, I personally feel they probably will have it ready in time, because they clearly see the direction the game's going.
Right.
And there clearly isn't very many huge flaws in the game as there was in other betas, such as, you know, SWTOR and previous MMOs.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, but it's so I see your direction where you're coming from, because they've sort of put a cap on themselves, and it's like, we have to get it released this year, no matter how the beta events goes. We're gonna have to work hard to get it released this year at least.
The pressure is on.
The pressure is definitely
That's
on.
one of my 3 nails. In preparing for this cast, I figured out 3 nails in the coffin of Guild Wars 2. And one of these nails is most assuredly a bad launch. And we're not talking bad as in the Star Wars launch, which, you know, it works. The game runs, it's just not finished. But I'm talking more like Age of Conan, where there were empty zones, you know, there was this, the game wasn't done yet. Or, I can't think of anything right on the top of my head now. But
so like Warhammer.
yeah,
Warhammer,
the controls weren't there
graphics,
yet, you know, and yeah, they didn't have the texture mapped yet. You know, that stuff can ruin a game. I remember when Aeon launched, and there was this huge cry about server queues, And people are like, I'm not playing this game. It's like, it's been released for 48 hours. You need to sit down and chill for a bit, because this is what happens in the first 48 hours before they do a load balancing of the servers. Just relax. And after 2 weeks, there were no queues anywhere, and then the game ran just fine. It had other problems that had nothing to do with server queues, but that's not the problem I'm talking about. We're going to have issues at launch, like, oh, that name was taken, but it isn't taken, and I started crafting and I didn't run out of material, and small things like that. But if they break the launch, then it could seal the deal, because that's bad press initially, and then you don't get people flocking in. That means you don't get the revenue, which means you can't do development, and then you sort of stifle the growth, and then the product dies. So that's one of my 3 nails.
Yeah.
Right.
There's an interesting point on that, because if you look at ArenaNet's marketing strategy, it's all around hype. It's all around getting people really excited in little bursts. Like, we would have 2 weeks of extreme hype where everyone's really excited, such as Gamescom and PAX back in the day. And now we've got these like closed and open beta events. And they're hyping everyone up for a game, and then they're saying, but we're not going to tell you when it's ready. So everyone's sort of frustrated at that, but yet really excited. So if it finally launches and it all goes wrong, people are going to be even more angry than they would usually, simply because ArenaNet sort of played them around so much.
Yeah.
Right. To elaborate a little bit on what Sage said, the first impression is very important, because when someone buys a game and they spend their $60, this is free to play, so spend their $60 and they get into that game and it's not everything that they want, it's gonna be very hard to get them back into the game. But since it's free to play, there might be some leeway there, but still, they might be like, break the game disc, like, why did I pay for this, or something like that. But the first impression for like a lot of games, especially subscription models, like SWTOR, I'm pretty sure not everyone who bought the game is still playing the game.
No,
but still a lot.
That a lot of people have left.
Right, because the servers used to be packed. I mean, full, and I guess some people might even be waiting until there's some reviews out for Guild Wars.
Yeah.
Until they buy the game, because once they purchase it, that's it, and we'll see what happens. And the way how Guild Wars is modeled is that the microtransactions are going to be key to fund them into creating these expansions and the patches and the updates.
Yeah. And it's like I say, it comes back to that whole, we need that real big initial sell, unlike day one. So even if like 2 days down the line, people are just like, whoa, this game's broken, it just doesn't work. They've still got that massive initial sale, and they're not too worried about people having to stay on to keep up their subscriptions. But it's just it's known pretty much everywhere now that free-to-play games with microtransactions earn more than the subscription ones.
Oh yes.
Simply because people would spend more over a month than they would, say you spend $9 a month on a game. If you like League of Legends, people spend 20 or something a month simply buying new skins, buying boosts and what have you. So even if people leave the game and come back to the game and yada yada yada, then as long as a lot of people are still playing it, which is going to be a hell of a lot of people,
right,
they'll still be able to maintain themselves. So it's all about that launch.
I think that, SWTOR said we need 500,000 players to make this viable, to actually break even. And Guild Wars 2 is certainly not going to need 500,000 players to go in initially. If they can cover their development cost, then they're going to be fine. And NCSoft is just going to go, that's fine, just go for the expansion and get more people that way. They have the leeway because they've proven through Guild Wars 1 that they can do this stuff. But then, they got 1 million beta signups, so they're going to have a lot higher a sale. They don't have the marketing muscle of EA behind SWTOR that got just about 2 million initial sales, but they're still going to break even the first weekend. They're going to, and with that money they can keep the servers up for that population for a few years. So I don't think they're too worried about that. They're more concerned about the longevity of the game at this point.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Shall we get into some topics about the actual game? That's like
Right.
that could be some flaws to it, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't want like the army of Guild Wars 2 fanboys.
Right.
Coming at
if
me.
you're a fanboy, you might want to stop here. We're gonna
Yeah.
be critical here and try to see what could go wrong
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah,
Alright, go ahead.
I have two more nails. I'll do one more here. One is imbalancing, and I'm not just talking about this skill is better than that skill, or this profession is better than this profession. Like in a straight up fight, a warrior will beat a guardian 9 times out of 10. You know, not that kind of stuff only. I mean, that's an issue, well, but that can just be patched. The issue I'm having is the imbalance between story arcs. For instance, the human starting zone is right now is a lot more interesting than the char one. The char one is just sort of barren. It has no story hook. It has no narrative flow to it, whereas the human really does. So it could create an imbalance in player demographic, you know, and you'd get people being frustrated, like, I really want to play a char, but it sucks to be here. And we don't know anything about the Asura or Sylvari starting zone yet, but I mean, what if one of those is really poorly written? Then you get all these frustrated people that would, you know, oh, I have to play human because the story over here is bad. Then it'd be sad,
Right.
you know, that could break the game as well. So that's my second nail, actually.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because a lot of people are sort of like for example, as we've seen with WoW, it's like oh, I want to play Horde because I want to be like the bad guys, or I want to play Alliance because I want to be like the good guys, you know. And then you have imbalances with the different races on those things. Like most people play like orcs and undead on Horde and what have you, but with Guild Wars 2, because they haven't got this, you know, like factions, I can really see where you're coming from, because it's all to do with the story. Like that's their main focus on the game, really. You know, like the explorable mode and the story mode, you know, and how you have your personal story and everything like this. But I suppose the way I look at it is, when the game is sort of out for the first month or so, then the human story may end up, you know, being better, and people have got to, you know, around half, you know, the most people have got around halfway, you know, level 40 or what have you. But their stories could always develop into something bigger, which later on would then be known by everyone. So it's like, even though this char beginning areas are quite crappy, you know, later on they get awesome, where you
Right.
start, you know, having these massive battles with the Flame Legion, and you know, you're really focusing on this Elder Dragon and what have you. And the human one could then, you know, die out, because you know, you were once this human who's, you know, from a noble family, and you've, you know, done all these personal story quests, and you're trying to break out and be a hero. And then by level 40, you could be a hero, you know, and that's sort of, you've lost that immersion in your character. But the char are just getting to, you know, you're ranking up, aren't you? You're sort of starting out as a little soldier and you're ranking up. So the different stories could scale differently, I suppose. And it depends on, you know, also the thing is, it's one of those things where, like, I would want to play a human simply because I can relate it back to me or the real world, you know, like
Right.
I'm a human playing in a fantasy world. Whereas if I play a char, I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, it's still cool, obviously, but for my main character, I'd rather be a human in that sense as well. So I think different people have different reasons for picking race, you know, different races.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You're not a giant cow in real life.
Exactly.
They're not cows. They're tigers.
I know, they're like cows, tigers, cats, you know, it's like
A mix
people
between
call them so many
everything.
different things. Exactly. I think it's a really well designed race though, personally. It's like, it's really well thought up.
I
Right.
used to love killing them back in Guild Wars 1. I mean, whenever I fit, oh, look, Char, kill him, you know? And now I don't get to anymore. Why?
I find it quite weird, like watching the videos, because you sort of see like a Norn just, you know, chilling, just walking around, and then, you know, a little Sora comes up, and it's like, surely they'll just, you know, give each other evils, especially the Char and the humans. It's just like, this, something about it doesn't fit, but I suppose, you know, the story will build your
Right. You could still kill Char. I mean, Char. There's evil Char as well.
And there's
There's evil
PvP.
humans. No, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's some evil char out there and
Yeah,
evil
well,
humans.
Yeah.
Flame Legion.
Because the Char's it's the Flame Legion, isn't it?
But you
Where
want to
they've
break the
sort
Char
of
Nation, the guys that burned my city. I was there in pre-series. I have a grudge here. I carried around on my cart because it's too heavy to fit in my backpack.
It's been 1,000 years, Sage. You gotta let things go, man.
Never forget, never forgive. For us, go on. Yeah, I'm gonna make that
Right.
T-shirt.
Has to be done.
So, do you guys think? What do you guys think about PvP? Do you think 5v5 structured PvP with 5 mesmers, as a lot of people would like to joke around with?
It's interesting.
Don't face the
A lot of
Ranger.
people have been crying out. Don't what? Feed the Ranger.
No, if you do 5 mesmers and you phase a ranger, then you're gonna be dead in like 15 seconds. He's just gonna pick them off one at a time because he's just gonna have such a high damage output that your clothies go down quick.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, team compositions is going to be one of the most interesting things, especially because there's so many builds, different builds can do, and the cross-profession combos.
Yeah.
Really interesting to see how people build up their teams. And there's been a lot of people crying out for why isn't, because I think a lot of people from WoW are probably going to be coming over, and they're used to
Oh.
having 5v5, 3v3, 2v2, and battlegrounds. And obviously in Guild Wars 2, it's like you've got World versus World, and you've got structured PvP. You don't really have that sort of imbalanced, personally I feel, imbalanced choice, because how are you supposed to balance a game when you have all these different types of competitive PvP? It's next to impossible to do. So I think ArenaNet, just doing the 5v5, especially the domination PvP system, they can really just home in and make sure it's balanced and focused, especially because they're taking out certain general world skills, if you like, PvE skills, and they're making sure that PvP is definitely balanced and all the team's compositions work and etc.
The whole idea that Guild Wars 1 has, that Guild Wars 2 has inherited, that when you go PvP, you don't actually keep your PvE skills. You get another skill with the same name, but that's tuned for PvP, makes it so much easier to balance. Because in WoW, for instance, if you have a skill that does X amount of damage and that's not enough to do well in PvP, you can't make it X plus 20 because that would break it in PvE. So in this way, you can balance it a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah, and the resilience system in WoW as well, sort of, it works. It makes things a lot easier, but again, it comes back to having to grind and having no fun with PvP
And doing
until
2 sets of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas ArenaNet are sort of handing you all the skills, all the trades, and they're just saying, go on and have fun. But people might get bored of it because doing the same sort of game mode constantly, etc.
Right.
One.
I mean,
Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, I guess since there's no armor, you can buy max armor, really when you get reach max. It's not really grinding for it anymore. It's more cosmetics, as it seems people to say. And you think people would be a little bit hating on that, I can't grind for gear. I can't grind for gear. What's the point of the end game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite true, because it's more like you're well, you get sort of titles, don't you, and you get different looking gear. Like, personally, one thing I don't like about the gear in PvP especially is how they're having red v blue.
Right.
I find that when you have sets of gear, it makes them look so much worse, because if I don't know if anyone listening or anything's into design, little black lines or loads of different types of colors, can really bring out certain different bits and areas. If you ever watch one of these League of Legends art spotlights, they're finished. A lot of the time you see that they've finished the picture, but they spend another 10 minutes, 15 minutes on this, fast, sped up video, just going over the fine details and what have you. And it makes the armor, to me, look really ugly, just being sort of red and blue.
Right.
So I hope something's done there, because I could farm up and play PvP for absolutely ages, thinking I really want this set of gear, and then when I've got it, it just doesn't look as awesome as it probably could do if it was then taken into PvE and I can play around with the colors and do all that sort of
I
stuff.
wonder how could you tell the difference between each other because they're so blue and so red. Like it's like your teammate. Like what if there's two chars, kind of the same people? Like I guess their name will be above them. I guess, but
Yeah, but the way your character looks and how you're sort of planted in that match, you just look like any other char with red armor on, wouldn't you?
right, there'd be no difference and no like, oh, I'm rank 1. That's why I have this blue glove, but you can't really see it.
But that's just
You know what I mean?
structured, and I
Yeah.
mean that's like saying my workers in StarCraft 2 has to have an extra flag because I happen to be the best one, and that I don't see that as being a big deal because a structured PvP match is all about it's more like Counter Strike in that respect. You don't do cosmetics in Counter Strike. It's all about who actually crushes the opponent best.
Right.
Whereas in open world, if you come across someone and he has the full warlord set, you're gonna go, oh crap, this guy's been in here for a while, and you're gonna see it. I was thinking about endgame though, and how people are whining about there's no endgame. Personally, I don't see this as a problem because treadmilling, which is what World of Warcraft and Star Wars endgame is, you just do your dailies and then you farm raids and stuff. You don't need that in Guild Wars 2 because there's no monthly subscription, so if you get bored and you leave, it doesn't matter to the game. It doesn't care. It doesn't have to keep you playing to be financially successful. It's just a matter of you playing as long as you want because you're just paying for the time that you're there anyway. You're not paying a subscription. So I don't see that as a deal breaker, but I know a lot of other people are saying if I can't farm dragon armor, then I'm not going to play.
Yeah.
I like how we're trying to be so negative and yet we always end up being positive. Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, it's too true. Yeah, I agree with you, but on a player's standpoint, it's kind of like everyone's so used to grinding out that best piece of gear and looking the best, so everyone knows, how much time and effort you've put into the game. And I think the way ArenaNet's going to do it, because you get different types of points or currency. So you get karma points, PvP, you get glory points, and different things like this. So when when people talk about endgame, they're really looking for a level 80 boss or a selection of level 80 bosses that they can just go and kill, and they would drop the best gear. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But ArenaNet, I'm pretty damn sure that when you get to level 80, they're not just going to say, well, there's nothing for you here. Just go off and do what you was just doing when you was leveling up. There is going to still be level 80 dynamic events that really scale into like a massive Elder Dragon or something. So there are going to be those epic, boss fights and encounters for level 80 people and at level 80. It might not be raids and it might not be ongoing, as in, next patch we're going to have this new raid dungeon. But they're out there in the world because the world is very immersive. But what you'll be farming essentially or grinding up is these points, and the whole idea of raiding is just to get the gear so you can look good and perform better. That's basically the idea of it. A lot of top raiding guilds don't even care about the actual raid they're in, the story behind it, what the boss looks like. They just care about different mechanics of the boss and the mass behind it, and they just want that piece of gear. So the idea of this sort of farming is still probably going to be there by just gaining points to get like the really expensive items to show how good you really are.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
All right.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now I have a final nail, the one that I'm the most worried about, and it's the buying power, the slippery slope of the microtransaction system. We have seen how some of these systems are really good, like Guild Wars 1, but there's also been some examples of these systems going horribly, horribly wrong, where you have
Yes.
Second Life, Maple Story. You have Eve. I mean, goodness gracious, the monocle in Eve. And the people are worried about this, and I can see how they can be worried. And it would be an absolute nightmare if someone decides that, oh yeah, you can also buy this piece of gear that's like an 80 level gear, but it's slightly better than the stuff you can get from the karma vendors or by crafting, and it all cost you like $8. And then people are going to be buying power, and that would kill so much of the community spirit behind Guild Wars 2. I know that ArenaNet are aware of this, but I also know from professional experience that NCSoft, the distributors, they really like this idea of buying power. They implement it in pretty much everything that they have their hands in, and they want to implement it everywhere. They like that element. They really like free games that you then buy stuff for with microtransactions. So if they hold sway over this, then we could be in trouble.
Right, because it's money.
It is.
People, the publisher really pushes for money. And I told people, I said, close is not enough. Close. Oh, it's only gonna be closed in the cash shop. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like Guild Wars 2, they spent a lot of money on that game. You think that it's gonna be only clothes in there?
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's not a lot of people are just gonna be buying clothes. A lot of people want to, buy other things. The boosts are definitely gonna be in there. They're gonna be in there. They want people who don't spend a lot of time to buy the boost, and that's something that sells repeatedly all the time, and it never goes away. If you want to train another character and you don't want to spend a long time, you use a boost. Boost. It's gonna keep going. Hopefully, they start implementing the karma boost and all that type of stuff. Oh man, so help me God, that's gonna be pretty crazy. And Maple Story was once like Guild Wars. These little things in the cash shop. And look at Maple Story now. Maple Story is one of the biggest for free to play games. Why? Because people invest so much money because you buy power. I mean, people. I've known people spend thousands of dollars a month on buying their stuff for their character and becoming the best. And it's crazy. It's crazy because once they have you invested, that means you are gonna want to play that game over and over and over again, because you want to stop buying stuff every single time you get on, but you can't because you already spent hundreds of dollars before, and you're like, all that money is gonna go to waste. And that's the problem I had with Maple Story until I had to go to rehab for my addiction.
Dude, it's like microtransactions are just the quick fix of the solution to not a solution, but it's sort of like the quicker way of getting people tied into your game than subscriptions are. So you think about how a subscription is based. You could be playing, World of Warcraft comes out, everyone loves it, it's amazing, yay, and then suddenly they've been paying a subscription fee for a year. So when it comes to quitting and giving up, they're just like, I've invested so much time and money into this that I don't want to give up. But microtransactions does exactly that, but it just speeds up that process. You could be playing for 3 months and you've invested, like you say, thousands of dollars into it.
The difference between these two is that a subscription happens in the background somewhere, especially if you have it tied to your credit card. You don't actually see it happening. So you're not gonna. When I quit WoW, I never for a second thought, oh no, I've spent 4 years in this game. That's 4 times 12 times $15. That's a lot of money that just went out the window because I deleted all my characters. That thought never crossed my mind. The prevalent thought was, oh crap, this game is shit, so I have to turn it off now. The thing about microtransactions is that you're aware of exactly how much you're spending. You go, and now I'm gonna buy this for $6, and then next week when I get my allowance, I'm gonna buy this stuff. So you become invested in a completely different way because it's a conscious choice for you to invest, and that makes it even more insidious. Especially if you can buy things that directly affect your character, like permanent XP boosts. that you might pay more for, but it's something that's going to be with you forever. Or I'm going to buy this elite skill which is slightly better than everyone else's. Then you have a reason to stick with that character because you spent money on making it actually better. Just making it look prettier doesn't do that in the same. I can't really see people going, I can't quit Guild Wars 2, my character has a hat that just looks so cool. I can't see that, but I can see people going, I have maxed everything and everything is the best and coolest, and I have this elite skill that just kills people in one shot. I really can't leave this character.
What scares me about, one of the things that a lot of people were screaming about, was the gem system. What scares me a lot about it is because NCSoft, they're pushing this buying power stuff, right? And the gem system it goes hand in hand with that, because they're making, oh, guess what? We have this stuff in a cash shop, but you don't have to pay real money for it. You can just grind for gold, or whatever you do, get gold and buy gems and buy what you want.
Yeah.
So it's okay for me to put anything I want in the store, in the cash shop, because you don't actually have to spend money. But people are gonna spend money.
Yeah.
I was one. Maple Story has the same thing, the trade shop, where you can trade items, gold, whatever. You can trade it for NX, and that's what people did. You think you're gonna grind for gold in Maple Story? No, you're gonna go to the shop. You're gonna go to 7-Eleven, and you're gonna go get yourself a card for $20, and then you're gonna, oh man, that's not enough. You're gonna go back again, and you're gonna get yourself another card. It's gonna keep happening, and it gives you the option there. It makes you say, oh, this is not so evil, But no, it's gonna happen, and I'm scared that ArenaNet doesn't have the balls, to say, no, NCSoft, we're not going to do this, hopefully.
Exactly. It's like the Rolls-Royce syndrome. That's sort of it's the fact that how many Rolls-Royces are there in the world? There's hardly any, and it's because they're a limited item, and therefore their prices are absolutely ridiculous. And you wouldn't even think about buying one unless you wouldn't even think about money, because you're that rich. And it's the fact that they say you can grind up gems and buy gems. Just casually buy a gem on the auction house. That's fine. Just grind up some gold. Do some crafting. No, you're not going to be able to do this. So, well, you can, but it's going to take you absolutely ages, because people are going to realize how gems are like diamonds. They're going to sell for a lot, because a lot of people are gonna, be competing on. It's gonna be a limited item, and the things that you can buy them are gonna be even more expensive because they're limited item.
I partially disagree. You are going to have people who are using the gems as a money boost. Just like you can buy an XP boost, a karma boost, and stuff like that. You're gonna have people who are gonna view gems as a way to get in-game gold. So as long as there are people like this who don't really want to go out and grind to get gold, because you need gold to buy certain things in the game, you can't buy that with gems. They're going to use real money to buy gems and then flood the auction house. So as long as the supply is high, then prices are not going to become inflated, even though it's limited. If people are conservative in their gem purchases, so there actually becomes a scarcity in the market, then the prices are definitely going to shoot and be absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so you buy gems worth $5 for 400 gems, and then you can sell them for 12,000 gold. Sure, that's going to happen in the first week, but then prices are going to drop significantly when more and more people start selling gems to get money, when they have that as a goal.
Yeah, it's true, but then it all comes back to how people are having to go out and buy, because the only way that it will increase is if more people are buying stuff from the microtransaction system.
Yeah.
And if more people are buying stuff from it, then NCSoft or ArenaNet are going to think about more things that they can put on there, to get more people to, because if you've got a shop and it's selling the same things over and over and over again, shop's going to get boring and people are going to leave. That's just how things work.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're going to put more stuff on there, and they're going to have to get more and more creative. And like MapleStory, we're probably going to see some bad things coming from the microtransaction thing that not everyone's going to like. But that's in months and months to come into the game. But like you say, again, you're not subscribing to it. It's you could rage at one of the microtransactions. Like you say, a permanent XP boost for me would just that would just be too much. What on earth are you doing with a permanent XP boost? But you could rage and quit the game. However, it all depends on how good the game is and how much these things affect your gameplay as a player. You might not spend a penny, but have just as much fun, on the game as someone who feels like they're king of the world with all their, cosmetic items and boosts and what have you. But it all depends on what direction they take it in to how it affects people who don't want to buy it and don't agree with the microtransaction system.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing about non-subscription based. So like they have the game, and it's gonna sell, and they could leave, but ArenaNet already got your money.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't really matter. So later on, a couple months down the line, when they sell a lot, they can probably just do whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And people, when these microtransactions come in, people are not gonna just leave if the game is good. If the game is good, they're not gonna stop playing. And that's when they got you hooked, and you're not gonna leave. Not to say like they're evil and once they got you in, that's it. They're gonna wheel you in, and you're never gonna be able to escape. But there's some people who, like MapleStory. We keep referring to MapleStory because MapleStory is a really, really perfect example of like a really good game that's very addictive, and Nexon is really, wheeling them in with this. And some people say, oh, they don't use money at all. They grind for gold. But the thing is, it's people are gonna still play, and it's not gonna change anything. So I don't know how that's gonna go.
It's true. But look at League of Legends. It's one of the biggest games out there at the moment. They have a microtransaction system, and everybody's happy with it. As soon as they start saying, oh, we're gonna release this character, but the only way you can possibly play the character is by buying it. That's when people start going to be going, you know what, this game ridiculous, goodbye. And the game starts declining. It all depends on what sort of direction direction they take it.
Meaning you have to pay with real money.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And
for example, if a next character, say if Cassiopeia or wasn't in the game yet, and she came into the game, and the only way you can pay, because if you've got 2 million people that are potentially going to buy this character for $5 a character, then you're going to make a lot of money in one go. But it all depends on, obviously you can't do that because then a lot of people will just leave. You need longevity of your game. So it does depend on where it takes it. Obviously they've assured us and they've said, we're not going to do anything really bad with the microtransaction system. We've seen it. They've seen the problems in all these other games before, and they know what to avoid. But it all depends on, the direction they take it. Are they really going to avoid these things? Because once something's in the cash shop, it's really hard for them to take it out, because if they take it out, then it's given the power to us, and then we're saying, you took this out before. We want this taken out. We want this taken out.
Right.
So I just hope they do stick to stuff like boosts and cosmetic items, and don't go into things that directly affect you as a player and everyone else compared to you as a player.
They mentioned Eve. Hopefully, just like Eve, they have someone on staff to look at the auction house and see what they can do to balance certain things when the game is launched.
Yeah, they've got like an economy specialist, haven't they? I find that absolutely awesome.
Right. That's awesome. So you can see something happening, because like there's a lot of times like MapleStory has a humongous economy, and it's always going crazy in there in the free market. I mean, crazy. And you see like duped items and all this crazy stuff going on, and no one's there to manage it. Only the big overlords, the people who have the most money, who have the most gold, who buys out everything, and changes the prices. If we have someone actually monitoring what's going on in the auction house, maybe there can be some more balancing, and maybe and the economy could go to the ArenaNet team, the programmers, whatever, and talk about what's going on with the economy and what they can do to fix it and change it. Someone who could directly influence the actual the guys. So let's see what happens, because I mean the gem system helps them with money, because there won't be gold farmers. Well, there will be gold farmers, but they it won't be as bad, because you will feel safer, as they say, buying from ArenaNet than buying from some random website to get gold.
Absolutely.
It's true. I personally, I really like the gem system. I know a lot of people don't, but I really like the way it works. Because usually with these things, I like they're overthought about quite a lot. And ArenaNet, you got to think ArenaNet are a professional company of people who know what they're doing. So the decisions they make, they have assured us already that they're not going to make any decisions that will harm the economy of the game. And they've already clarified that they know the problems that microtransaction systems has had in the past with this game, and we don't want to make those problems. We're going to make it fair for you. And to be fair, I know this is also coming from a company who have me as a customer, so they're going to try and assure me as much as possible to get me to buy their game. But the way that Arena have been already with us, the community, they've been very honest. They've been, listening to us, making changes based on what the community has said, and they've already said they're all about building community, and have proven that to me. So I have full faith in them to keep it, on the lines. And if nothing goes wrong, then the system is absolutely awesome, I feel.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I like. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I've played Guild Wars 1. I've interacted with ArenaNet through their product. I've had disagreements with some parts of that game, and I will certainly have in Guild Wars 2. But the company and the soul behind it is sound, as far as I feel. I don't have that much doubt that they have the best of intentions. So, as long as they can avoid a few of these pitfalls, like my 3 nails, for instance, then they should be able to pull this off, because they have soul to this. They've invested their heart into it, not just their time and money. And there's a difference between doing that and just doing your job and putting out the product. So I agree with Phil that I have faith in this company to do the right thing.
Right, I agree as well. The thing is, I like to remind everyone listening, like we're trying to be negative, but we do have faith in ArenaNet that this probably won't happen, because I gotta say a lot of publishers do push developers to go this route a lot, especially with something very popular. And Guild Wars 2, it's catching the eye of a lot of people, a lot of press, a lot of everybody, and sometimes these popular games go south. Name one that really pulled through. Not many of the free to play. So I mean, I have full faith. Hopefully, everything goes really well. When the game comes out and we all enjoy, and it's everything that we thought of in our dreams, and then we can just it could explode in our face, and
Oh man, I'm thinking of something completely different.
So yeah, yep. So I guess that wraps it up, guys. Anything else you guys want to mention?
I suppose just the fact that looking, because I know some people really don't like their gem, their crystal, their love, getting talked down upon. But the thing that you got to think about is the game's currently in beta stage, and they're testing it, and they're asking people to think, really come up with what's bad about our game, because we want to fix it and make it good. So discussions like this are always really good. That's why that's why I want to, want to be in the beta, man, because I'll test the game and give them feedback.
Right, you want to be an influence, right?
Exactly, yeah. So hit me up with that beta key. But I suppose it's all over now, isn't it? So that's a bit late on that.
Yeah, yeah, Arena Knight, we're here for you.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll try to be negative for you, so you guys can fix stuff,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, we just hated on you for like an hour, but we love you, man.
We love you.
Man.
Well, guys, oh, by the way, people who are listening, if we missed something or you guys want to talk about, leave it in the comment section below, and we can just have a big argument or discussion or agreement, if you will. And we can all just talk.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it, guys. I'll see you guys later. All right, actually, Philetic, and say what's your channel about, Philetic?
My channel has taken sort of the direction of doing overviews, so talking about what something actually is in the game, such as world versus world crafting, this sort of stuff, and sort of podcast type series, kind of like this, and talking more in depth about things and what have you. And then when the game comes out, I'm looking to do personal story content, like a lot of personal story content, and a lot of player versus player. And obviously, I'll be playing the game, so if things come up that are awesome, tips and tricks and stuff, I'll do that as well.
All right, and you, Sage?
I do the research so that you don't have to. I take questions and answer 6 to 12 a week. I do overview of news, commentary of interviews, gameplay from trade shows, stuff like that. When the game comes out, I'm hoping to do gameplay every day, and catering to what people want to see so that they can vote on the contents that they want. Currently, there's a vote up for what people want me to play in the beta or in when the game launches. And currently, I think the vote is Asura Thief or Sylvari Ranger. Those are the two main ones. So check out Phil's and my channel and see if there's anything that you like.
All right.
Yeah, and hop over to SageLikeOne and vote Asura Thief.
I'll definitely be trying to Azure Thief myself. One question I forgot to ask you guys. I usually ask this in the beginning, but what characters are you guys going to be playing when the game comes out personally?
Asura Thief or Sylvari Ranger, depending on how the vote swings.
And you, Philetic?
I'm looking to play as my main a human warrior, nice and generic, and PvP Asura Thief, definitely.
All right, well, I guess that wraps it up. I'll see you guys later, and say bye, guys.
Bye.
Yep, see you later, guys.
What is up, guys? Matt Visual here, and
well done. 3 seconds worth.
I totally blanked out about that. All right.
You should say, "What's up, guys? Matt Visual here," and then just do the Murloc noise.
Well, you can cut that out later anyway. You just crack Matt and you can delete it.
It's good to lighten up,
Oh, yeah.
All right. Serious business now. Serious business.
Okay. Breathe in. Okay, deep breaths. Come on. Okay, let's do this.